Good afternoon and welcome to Match of the Day, in which our main game comes from the third division. It's Huddersfield Town against Millwall, and it's a fine advertisement for that division.
He's got to hit it early. Oh, and he does! And it hit the underside of the crossbar.
Well, that's followed by Tottenham Hotspur versus Swansea City, one of only 5 First Division games to survive yesterday's weather.
John Lacey. Oh, well played by him. And Crooks.
Today's news, a fresh twist in the Roy McFarlane compensation story, the problems facing England manager Bobby Robson, and there's no turning back for Bob Paisley.
Well, it was with some trepidation that we surveyed Friday's weather, and as the news came through of many matches off in the north, we feared for Huddersfield, whose match against Millwall was their chance to show Match of the Day viewers what they were made of. But they wanted to play, and their wish was fulfilled. Your commentator is Barry Davis.
There's still snow on the hills where the home players strengthen their leg muscles in what they call training shuttles, but there was never any danger that the match at Leeds Road would be postponed. The pitch now will take a short start, although it is a little harder on the left-hand side as we look. An area where the sun rarely arrives. But the Huddersfield players have been in the sun this week in Torremolinos, and they come back with a full-strength side. Recent results suggest a slight loss of direction, but their manager, Mick Buxton, says that that is not so. They're a side which has scored in every home game this season except one, and 3 of their number have goal tallies in double figures. Mark Lidis and Brian Stanton have 13 and Colin Russell 11. Millwall are playing their 11th league game under George Graham. They've had 2 wins and 3 draws in the previous 10. He said last weekend that the club needed major surgery, but for the moment he's had to settle for an infusion of new blood with 2 loan transfers. Steve Lovell, wearing number 4, has come from Crystal Palace, and Peter Wells, formerly of Southampton, has taken over in goal. The man in charge is a policeman, Peter Willis, who comes from Meadowfield in County Durham. Huddersfield unbeaten at home, Millwall yet to win away. Huddersfield in their familiar blue and white stripes. A change of kit for Millwall, who are wearing all red. Malcolm Brown giving a touch to the goalkeeper, Brian Cox. Won by Martin. Neil, Aylott. Followed by Sutton. Massey. Cowling to Russell. Russell shielded it well. It's Doyle. Cowling, nicely done by Huddersfield. So his footing let him down there quite clearly. Neil let it run well. Might have given it to Lovell a little bit earlier though. Massey. Chatterton. Martin. Aylott seen a lot of the ball at the opening. Massey. Sutton's head up. Not quite where he intended. Won by Aylott, out by Hanby. And a good chase out following his header by Stanton. And Russell is in the clear. And a real chance, which is well taken. Mark Willis, the scorer. And what a breakout from defence. All credit to Brian Stanton, because he won it at the other end. Used his header to give space for himself, played it down the right side. Lidis was unmarked in the middle, and Huddersfield have an early lead. Martin. And here's Lillis again. The whistle's gone for a push by him. Goal number 14, laid on by courtesy of Stanton and Russell. Offside flag. Andy Massey, in the worst possible start for a side which has taken only 4 points out of a possible 42 away from home. Allardyce and Russell. Little push given against Allardyce. Here's Burke. Off the head of Sutton. Oh, and it had to be tipped over. It came down very late. Very well watched by Peter Wells, and had to be. Most of the players had started to move away for the resulting goal kick. But in fact, the ball dipped down very late, and Wells forced to put it over the top. A lot of movement from Huddersfield. Aylott won the clearing header. Back to Cowling. Oh, that's a lovely cross. Lillis couldn't make the most of it. But a good piece of play by Dave Cowling, who took on two on the hardest part of the ground and got in a really nicely weighted cross, which Lillis might be a little bit disappointed didn't make more of. Martin. Sutton. Lillis. Stanton is the player making the run. What a lovely pass. Russell's in the middle, and that's two. So simple, but simple is beautiful. Russell the scorer. Same trio involved again. Stanton made the run. The ball beautifully played through to him by Lillis, and Russell in the middle this time for the finishing touch. Huddersfield 2, Millwall 0. Massey. Austin Hayes. And he was a classic pass against what was rather a square defence. And Stanton showing considerable pace. Here's Lovell, who's been brought into the side to add bite in the middle of the field, and has seen his side destroyed down the flank. Already had a ball winner in the middle of the field for Millwall, and that's why George Graham has gone to one of his former clubs, Crystal Palace, to find one. Martin. Cowling. Aylott. Malcolm Brown. Lillis. Leaving Allardyce. Oh, that's a remarkable save. He pushed it onto the post and had a little bit of luck with the ricochet. Otherwise, that would have been three. Russell was the unlucky player, but Wells did well to get to it in the first place. Russell. Lillis. Fair charge, says Mr. Woodis. Allardyce. Dean Neal. dive by Allardyce. Good job he didn't make any contact with anything. Burke. Cowling. Doyle. Nicely into the space. Roberts across to cover. Russell. Lillis. And that, in the end, set up Stanton. Well, credit Dean Neal for his industry getting back to cover where cover was certainly needed. But inadvertently, he set up Brian Stanton for what really was quite a good chance. But Stanton unable to take it. Well, it could have been better for Huddersfield, it could have been worse for Millwall. Huddersfield with a 2-goal lead, the first by Lillis in the 6th minute, and the second by Russell in the 10th. Laurie Madden, who lost his place to Steve Lovell at the start of the match, now gets it back at the expense of Andy Massey. Huddersfield started the day in 5th place, 5 points off the top 3 promotion places, and just a win behind Bristol Rovers in 4th place. They started, as their name implies, with really terrier-like tactics, nickname I should say. Didn't quite maintain that as the half went on. By Martin. Allardyce certainly played a captain's role in pulling his side together because they were all over the place at the start. Oh, and the free kick given against Allardyce, and the referee not liking the reaction that the player made to his decision. But it has to be said that Allardyce, in winning the ball, very nearly gave Lillis a second shave of the day. But is insistent on the position of the free kick. Keith Hamby will take it. It comes to Lillis as 2 players took their eyes off the ball, and Roberts obviously thought that Lillis used an elbow. One by Sutton. Doyle. Hasty by Allardyce. It's Lillis. Allardyce has come across. Nice change of direction. Russell! What a beauty! What a beauty! Russell gets his 2nd of the contest. But it was beautifully made by the sway and change of direction of Mark Lillis, and a peach of a cross. Those two have been involved in all 3 goals. The whistle has gone. Huddersfield pulling everybody back. Concentration to win the ball again immediately after scoring. David Martin. And the free kick rightly given. It's a real studied sort of tackle. as good as his word. He said it's mine, and it was. Lillis. Chatterton. Hanby. Dean Neal has gone to mark the goalkeeper, forcing Hanby to turn. He had plenty of room. And he's now got to recover. Here's Neal. No help. It was David Sutton who put it out of harm's way in the end. Aylott. Madden. And the goalkeeper clearly surprised, and Madden makes it 3-1. Well, there was no doubt the Brian-Cocks thought that was going wide. Madden getting up comfortably with the header, directing it away from the goalkeeper and into the top and side netting. So 3-1. Stunned the crowd for a minute, and certainly stunned Brian Cox. But the substitute brings an early dividend. Neal. Back for Huddersfield. Cowling. That was by first-class post, that's for sure. Madden. Brown caught. Neal trying to turn. It was a little unfortunate. Madden. Aylott. Nicely done. Oh, I say, what a good try. Well, he's disappointed, and he's entitled to be, because he pulled it round nicely. Wasn't very high over the crossbar. Cowling. Lillis. Nice second header. Stanton. Can he get the cross? It's a bit close to the goalkeeper. Lovell. Can he get away? No, he can't. He's got a free kick. Got a pushing by Doyle initially. Dean Neal. This could be promising. Here's Lovell. It's still in play. It's a promise that died. Lillis, give it and go. Well, he's gone. He's still on the run. Here's Brown on the other side of the pitch. Sort of flow we saw right at the beginning, and this is a good run. And Wells does well. It's a corner. The ball had gone before Lillis put it in. And Wells at full stretch after a really good attempt by Malcolm Brown. Good run that we've seen several similar before, but that time he improvised the shot that had Wells at full stretch, and then Wells able to cover at the expense of the corner. Brown comes away from the middle. And Aylott, and it's in by Hanby. Keith Hanby scores. It came off Trevor Aylott. And that seemed to confuse everybody except Keith Hanby, who was almost right on the line and stabbed it in. to make it 4-1 and to remove any lingering doubts about where the points are going to go. Hanvis twice this season, Huddersfield have managed to score 6 times. (6-0) against Orient and 6-3 against Brentford on New Year's Day. Stanton. Stanton. Lillis. Stanton has gone on, Doyle has gone on. This way is Brown, but Hayes is covering. Allardyce. For Roberts. Hanby. Madden. Neil has certainly worked hard. Burke. Determined running at the defence. Nice return from Russell. Lillis and put in by Wilson. Phil Wilson gets number 5. But it was a nice move at the start, with Burke making the initial incision into the defence. When the ball came across, it was Phil Wilson who scored. And Huddersfield Town have a little under 15 minutes to make it 6 for the 3rd time this season. Sutton. Phil Wilson's 4th of the season. Doyle. Neil. Aylott. Neil has gone for the return and gets a beauty. He's got to hit it early. Oh, and he does! And it hit the underside of the crossbar. Oh, that was the best shot of the match. Beautifully worked by Aylott in the first place, flighting the ball over to Neil, who was aware that he had to hit it first time, otherwise he would lose the ball in the challenge, but he was denied by the underside of the crossbar. There aren't too many seconds left, but nobody seems to have told Austin Hayes. Madden. Chatterton down the middle. Aylott, still Chatterton to the middle. Lovell to the right. Possible chance again. And he was running out of angle. The earlier ball to Chatterton might have produced a better test of the ability of Brian Cox. Conclusive victory for Huddersfield, with the goal scored by Lillis, 2 by Russell, Hanby and Wilson, with Madden getting on the score sheet for Millwall. 5-1, 3 good points and an entertaining afternoon.
And it was too. It's very satisfying for all concerned when a visit to a lower division produces fine entertainment. Huddersfield won 3 points as well, and not surprisingly, manager Mick Buxton, on a raw winter's day, was full of the joys of spring.
It was a terrier-like start, wasn't it?
Well, good word for us, the Terriers. We always try to start like that. We always try to play like that, Barry. Work hard, get the ball, hit people quickly. I think that's what people in this country like to see, particularly on a cold day like today. They like to see people running, they like to see people getting forward, and they like to see plenty of balls going in the box. And if you do that, you've got a good chance of scoring goals. We scored good goals today.
Simplicity can be quite nice to watch.
That's right. I mean, I just try and keep it simple. I don't know, they might not be able to do the difficult things, but we try to keep it simple. And I say, you know, why take a couple of passes when you can get the ball forward early, support early. That's what I like to see. I don't like to see people messing about with it. And I think people in this country don't like, you know, they don't like to see. I mean, they watch the World Cups and things like that in the summer, and they see a lot of square passing and a lot of backward passing and out it goes again. In this country, no, get it forward, get it in the box.
Lillis. Stanton is the player making the run. What a lovely pass. Russell's in the middle, and that's two. So simple, but simple is beautiful. It's Lillis. Allardyce has come across. Nice change of direction. Russell! What a beauty. Back. Determined running at the defence. Nice return from Russell. Lillis, and put in by Wilson.
You're confident that you've got enough to get up to second division?
We've got a chance of getting up. It's other people who are talking about us going into the second division. We've got a chance.
I didn't use the word, which I gather is banned around here.
Promotion?
Oh, you said it.
Yeah. We feel we've got a chance. We just keep at it week after week, game after game. Just keep grafting away. And at the end of the day, if it comes, that's superb.
But you're giving yourself a bit of publicity on Match of the Day this weekend.
Yeah, we've done ourselves a bit of good, I suppose, and might pull a few more punters in.
And on yesterday's showing, they certainly deserve that. Well, it should be said that we intended next to cover the West Ham-Arsenal game, which was postponed and necessitated a hurried moving of equipment across London to White Hart Lane for Spurs versus Swansea. It was successful thanks to our engineers, and we're able to offer you a grandstand seat in one of our most luxurious grounds. Your commentator, sitting a little higher up, was John Watson.
Bob Latchford scored the 200th league goal of his career last Sunday to take his senior total for the season to 19. And just for good measure, he got 2 more in Swansea's Welsh Cup win on Wednesday. While for Spurs, a player 12 years younger than Latchford, 20-year-old Terry Gibson, has scored in the last 4 games and now has a tally of 6 goals in 7 matches since coming into the side in January. He's been preferred to Steve Archibald, who now has an injury anyway, and in the absence of Ardiles and Hoddle, Spurs are glad to welcome back Tony Galvin after his second long injury spell this season. At number 4, Paul Price is recalled in place of Graham Roberts, who is out of form. And the same could be said of a Swansea side who've won only 2 of their last 13 league matches and are still looking for their first away win. John Mahoney is back today, but the formation will not correspond to the numbers. Referee this afternoon, John Hunting of Leicester. And what a compliment to the Tottenham ground staff who worked so hard this morning to get this match on in what are now near perfect conditions. A lovely afternoon, the pitch taking a full stud. Full marks to the efforts put in from very early this morning here. And Ray Kennedy, wearing number 5 as he often has in the past for Swansea, may in fact be playing centre-back this afternoon alongside Jeremy Charles, with Rajkovic sweeping, Gary Stanley at right full-back, Neil Robinson in midfield. Wearing number 2. This is Price for Tottenham. Brooks. Galvin. Just looking at those Swansea defenders who'll be marking the likes of Galvin this afternoon. They play the sweeper system, but you'll see Kennedy and Charles playing as Rajkovic. On by James. He was flattened too. John Lacey coming in behind him. John's been cut as well. Clash of heads which momentarily dazed both players. Been a busy man recently, Mike Varney, the Tottenham Hotspur physio. This is more of a routine affair, the cut above the eyebrow, but he's had to contend with a string of injuries this season, which has meant that Tottenham have never yet fielded their strongest side in any one match since the start of the season. Keith Birkinshaw, the Spurs manager, on the extreme right-hand end, but you won't see his opposite number down there on the Swansea bench because John Toshak's ban doesn't end until the 1st of March. Here's Galvin. Rajkovic, Hadziavdic. That's a Tottenham free kick, Curtis on Price. Come back to Mabbott. Wasn't what he intended, but Gibson's managed to make something of it. Perryman, little ball out to Gary Brook. 5 waiting in the centre for Spurs. And hammered clear by James. So Brook will take the corner. He'll also get a chance to return it. And Crooks came in there behind Rajkovic and in front of Stanley and did well to get his header in. The defenders debating who should have stopped him, but as Gary Brook returned the ball, Garth Crooks nipped in between 2 of them. His header, though, never going in. Well killed by Gary Brook. What came after wasn't quite so good, but here's Price. Good interception by Rajkovic. And here's Ray Kennedy. And James, Curtis making the run ahead of Perryman, who got a foot round him. Latchford's in the centre. James. So, 10 minutes left in the first half here at White Hart Lane. Spurs 0, Swansea 0. And no clear-cut opportunities yet for which you could blame a forward for not scoring. And neither goalkeeper totally extended. Here's Ricky Villiers, forward for Terry Gibson. Can he take him on for pace? Rajkovic, he can. He's still there, is Gibson. And a good cross, and here's Crooks. Beautifully made by Gibson, and no wonder Crooks goes across first to look for him. Ricky Villiers knocked one of those smooth-looking balls down the line, and Gibson took on Rajkovic for pace, and he licked him. He got round the back. Crooks pulled away at the far post. The cross perfect, the header easy, the score 1-0. That's brought the crowd to life. Tottenham, who are the second highest scorers at home in the First Division to Liverpool, is their 32nd at White Hart Lane. And here's Galvin looking for the 33rd. And Brook might find it. You'd back him normally in those positions, Gary Brook, to get a clean strike. Here's Villiers. From behind, which the referee must surely penalise. Hadziavdic, the offender, on Brook. And Perryman will now take the free kick. And on by Lacey. And Rajkovic's header forcing Huddersfield to bend low, and Gibson was penalised for dangerous play. Steve Perryman. Houghton has pushed forward on this side as well. Velia. Price is also up in this Tottenham attack. Crooks. And Houghton makes his run now. Checked in the end by Rajkovic, although my feeling is that the Swansea number 6 is injured. Houghton is the player down there for Tottenham, but I think that Rajkovic has pulled possibly a thigh muscle and has been suffering for the last 10 minutes or so. It may have had something to do with the way Gibson went past him on the Tottenham goal, but he's certainly not fully mobile, the Yugoslav who plays behind the other defenders. Meantime, Chris Houghton receiving the sympathies of the referee. An anxious season for Keith Birkinshaw in the way of injuries. But on this occasion, all is well. James. Foul by Robinson. First half ends with Spurs leading by a goal from Garth Crooks, his 15th of the season, but his first in the league since October the 23rd. He's been dropped, he's come back, scored in the cup and scored again here, courtesy of Gibson, although Rajkovic, the Swansea sweeper, appeared to be nursing an injury towards the end of the half. No doubt one of the regular listeners to BBC Radio Sport on 2, checking on the half-time scores. Mark Falco is on for Spurs in place of Chris Houghton, who has an eye injury. And for Swansea, Darren Gale is on in place of Rajkovic, the sweeper, who was hurt during the first half, seemed to pull a groin. And we'll just organise the formation in a moment when this first attack's over, because here comes James. And Swansea have had to make quite a radical change here. They put Jeremy Charles into the sweeper's role in place of Rajkovic. Gary Stanley has gone to play in front of him at centre-back with Kennedy, and Neil Robinson, over on that far side, meeting the ball now, is at right-back. So both teams having to reshape their formation at the start of the second half, owing to injuries. John Lacey, though, has again made the extra man from the free kick, and he flicked it on, and Gibson's in there. Can he finish? Oh, well stopped by Di Davis. Lacey flicked that free kick on, and Terry Gibson, from not an ideal angle, hooked in a fierce shot, and good reactions from Di Davis to beat it out. And now John Lacey. Played by him, and Crooks. Davis didn't gather it cleanly, but Crooks may feel the header should have been as clean as his first one. Lacey made it possible, a very good run down the left. He checked at the right moment, he picked his man with the cross, but this time Crooks put his header rather too near to the goalkeeper. Beautifully done by Gibson, he's got some pace too, and he's found Huddersfield in the end, but Crooks was so close. Well played again by Gibson. Falco. Oh, Brook! Gary Brook, no, Kennedy away. What a mess in the penalty area. Gibson's cross first of all, just evading Crooks. Hadziabdic half cleared. Falco in. Davis a mistake. Brook unable to capitalise. Kennedy away. Corner to Spurs. Again a clearance by Kennedy. This time he finds Curtis. Interception was by Perryman. Here's Lacey. Villiers. Spurs with plenty of players forward here. Brook. Falco. Crooks. Brook again. Spurs have increased their momentum since half-time, despite having to reorganise, but then the same can be said of Swansea in terms of reshaping the team, because they've lost their calming influence at the back. Rajkovic. Mahoney. This is Kennedy. Some holding there, it seemed, by Price. James. The shot. Absolutely poleaxed Spurs player who blocked it. Was Price, in fact. Running into Mabbotts. He saw his chance to go forward and took it. Brook. That's not the pass that he was looking for. Well, Di Davis is going to be penalised. The linesman was the man who was the key figure there, because he spotted that when Di Davis kicked that ball forward, he had actually come outside his penalty area before he released it, so that constitutes handball and a direct free kick to Spurs. Just over 18 yards from goal. Gary Brook might fancy his chances of striking one here. And Brook into the wall. Here's Villiers. Falco wanted it played outside. There's a chance on here. And it's been tucked in. Gary Brook came in on the near post, but in fact the flag was already up and it didn't matter. The offside flag was up the moment the ball was played, and so the goal does not stand. Latchford. Curtis is hovering behind the defence. With 10 minutes to go. Spurs still in the position that they were in 10 minutes before half-time when they took the lead. Unable as yet to put the match beyond the reach of Swansea. Forward again goes Crooks. And forward too goes Latchford. Line to the stand by Jeremy Charles. Falco going in on the line. Oh, and Davis didn't make a very good job of that. And Spurs have a corner. John Lacey is again supporting Garth Brooks. Jostling for positions. And Lacey! And Gibson dived, driven away by Robinson. Perryman. Well, I must say, from these corners and free kicks, John Lacey's touches have proved interesting and effective. He got a flick on there. Gibson threw himself in so bravely. Didn't quite make it. But there are players in this Tottenham team determined, if they can, to keep their places for this all-important FA Cup tie at Everton next week. And the snow now starting to fall in something of a flurry. Last fling from Swansea. Hadziabdic. Gale. Caught a little bit by the foot of Gibson. to throw bodies forward now, Swansea, and hope they can get the right ball in. Charles is making a run across. It was he who got there. It's gone on to James, but the flag and the referee's whistle bring the afternoon to a close. It came too late, Swansea's revival, because Tottenham had got the edge from the moment they scored and should frankly have added to that in the second half, that being a goal by Garth Crooks. Both teams had to reorganise at half-time. 3 points to Tottenham, who will still hope to qualify for Europe by virtue of their league position, but Swansea's relegation problems only compounded by that defeat as they still look for their first away win.
Well, not the best game we've seen this season. Both sides obviously affected by continual injury problems. And in the absence of Ardias and Hoddle, Ricky Villa took over the midfield general role for Spurs, particularly in the first half. And I thoroughly enjoyed this moment of supreme skill from him. About a 50-yard ball at least coming up here, and it's control with the chest that we see. A lot of power in that ball, but he has it under control with another little touch from his foot. Really remarkable, superb skill. And in fact, he initiated quite a lot of Spurs' first half attacking movements, and the one that produced the goal. Spurs at their best. Stevie Perriman on the ball there, plays it up to Mabbott. A nice little turn back ball from him into the path of Villa, and Villa pushes it very accurately up the line past the defence. But it's the appetite of the man on the end of it that we're looking at particularly. To get ahead, to stay ahead against Rajkovic's challenge, and finally to hook a ball accurately onto Crooks' head. Crooks calls for it, and he's got it just where he wanted it most to enable him to score Spurs' first and only goal. But let's look again at Terry Gibson. Not the greatest looking athlete. He's got a short body, powerful hindquarters, and a touch of the Jimmy Greaves. I particularly like that turn there. Very, very quick. But after it, he doesn't lay it off. He's looking for the space again beyond people to get a cross in. That cross caused Swansea's defenders a little bit of trouble. They didn't get it away first time, and it gives us a chance to get another look at his appetite for getting past people into the space on the other side. He wants a trick now, and he's got a trick, and he's got a cross. Don't think he quite meant that one, but it's, again, making problems for Di Davis and his colleagues. But you can't even be talked of in the same breath as Jimmy Greaves unless you're a goal scorer, and prolific at that. Terry scored 6 goals in his last 7 games for Spurs, and 4 out of 4 in the last 4 games. Just watch this from a free kick, his goal-scoring potential. Villa flicks the ball up. It's Lacey there, who created quite a few scoring opportunities for Spurs yesterday. There he is, one control with his right foot, and hammering a shot there, which nearly knocks Di Davis out of the ground. But it was a fine save too at the end of the day. But there he is, Terry Gibson. Well, there was one minor incident in yesterday's game with which I thought we might have some fun. It shows very clearly the increasingly difficult nature of a referee's job in this day and age. Players' techniques have improved in all directions, which at times can make the truth difficult to read. The question is, do you think this challenge by Jeremy Charles on Garth Crooks was a foul? He's coming in now to time his tackle. There has to be intent involved for it to be a foul, but does he go for the ball here, or does he bring Crooks down deliberately? Does Crooks have to fall? I think he does, but does he make slightly more of it at the end of the day than he need have done? We've seen it in slow motion. Perhaps it looks easier in that the referee has to make an instant decision. Was it a foul or was it not? What would you have given? Well, the problem of refereeing in 1983. Those of you who have ambitions in the refereeing world will clearly see the difficulties of sorting it out accurately at that level. Bob.
Well, with both Arsenal and Manchester United's games casualties of the weather yesterday, there are no new injury problems before Tuesday's delayed Milk Cup semi-final first leg at Highbury. Arsenal were always going to be without Alan Sunderland, and Kenny Sansom, who's been in bed with flu, has recovered and will play. United trained this morning, and manager Ron Atkinson reported a clean bill of health, with Ray Wilkins again in consideration for a substitute's role. On the same evening, Burnley faced the awesome task of pulling back Liverpool's 3-0 lead from the first leg. Both Burnley's injury problems, fullback Brian Laws and striker Steve Taylor, should be fit to play. No problems for Liverpool, and manager Bob Paisley, in answer to the rumours that he just might change his mind about retiring, said, "Definitely not. It would only get worse. I might have to win 5 trophies next time." On a more serious note, a Football League committee meet tomorrow in London to hear Bradford City's claim for compensation for the loss of manager Roy McFarlane to Derby County. After being found guilty of poaching and fined £10,000 already, the general feeling is that Derby will be asked to pay some compensation, but nothing like the £200,000 Bradford are seeking. Between 40 and 50,000 seems a more realistic figure, and even then there could be a new twist. 2 points may need to be clarified. Under league rules, it's questionable whether the committee actually have power to award compensation. And 2, whether Bradford City themselves were in breach of contract with McFarlane by withholding certain payments which were due to him. Whatever the outcome, it's an interesting test case for football. England manager Bobby Robson returns from holiday today to name his squad for the British Championship match against Wales on Wednesday week. The same night, Manchester United and Arsenal play their Milk Cup semi-final second leg. Without players from those clubs and possibly Liverpool and Aston Villa, who could be involved in FA Cup replays, the manager's main problem will lie in a replacement for skipper Brian Robson. His role is likely to go to Sammy Lee. It's virtually certain the Spurs' Glenn Hoddle won't have recovered full fitness, although he played this afternoon, scoring twice for a Spurs staff side in a friendly match at Chesham. But if Bobby Robson thinks he has problems, what about Enzo Berzot, manager of an Italian team which beat the world 6 months ago, but who haven't won a game since? The latest depressing result for the world champions came in Limassol yesterday, a 1-1 draw in their European Championship match against unfancied Cyprus. 2 minutes of the second half had gone when the 25,000 crowd went wild with delight. A cross from the left was met with a poor defensive header. Christodoulou's pass found Mavris, and the finish was very precise. It took Italy just 12 minutes to equalise. Following a move on the right in which the cross was partly blocked, watch out for a delightful little chip by substitute Ancelotti, which found Graziani's head and the body of fullback Patikis before going in to make the score Cyprus 1, Italy 1. As it stands, Italy are almost unbelievably now outsiders to qualify from Group 5. Despite the Italians moving up into second place, you must remember that both Czechoslovakia and group leaders Romania have already drawn in Italy. In fact, the world champions' embarrassment yesterday could have been much greater when you see the chance Savides had when the score was 1-1. A long volleyed through ball split the Italian defence completely to leave Savides with a clear run at goal, but instead of placing a shot, Savides chose to blast it, and Italy's veteran skipper Dino Zoff pulled off a marvellous reflex save.
Keepers do spoil the fun, don't they? Well, the shock result in Scotland yesterday was Celtic losing 1-3 at home to Aberdeen, who replaced them at the top of the table. But we see the goals from the Division 1 match between Hearts and Ayr United. Hearts in maroon have a corner. Your commentator is Archie McPherson.
Johnson's corner kick. There's Roddy McDonald, and he got it again. Must be this time, yes. Derek O'Connor sweeping it in very sweetly. The danger again coming from that corner kick. The back header by Roddy McDonald going right up there. He's done it 2 or 3 times in the game so far. And there was O'Connor to rifle his 17th goal of the season. Gannon with the corner kick. Donald goes after it. Well, there's a deflection. It's in. As Buchanan shot, I think there was a deflection and put it right away from Henry Smith. Oh, very neatly on indeed. Kid on the far side, this is going to be a good one. O'Connor tries to get there, yes! Pettigrew. 2-1. Not easy as the balls to take, coming down towards him. He had to make sure it was cleanly hit, and there was absolutely no hope of Scott Mackay getting that, and there are only just under 4 minutes of this half remaining. Kid played that well. Pettigrew, beautiful touch on Boone, can't get there. There's Mackay, will he get his shot? And he does, yes! On a miserable afternoon, a brilliantly lit goal. Called in by Connor. I think the full sets of players realise it's well nigh over. Pettigrew racing chasing after it. Willie Johnson on the wing and given inside to Mackay. That's a good ball by Mackay. Pullman. Yes! Oh, he took that so well. Put through to him. He found himself in a very good position. Maybe a little bit surprised he got there at all. But look at the efficient, professional way he swept it in. And Hearts, overall in this game, have certainly impressed me. Pressure still on. Jordan. Oh, lovely little dummy. This is a good move. Oh, brilliant move. Can he be put it away? Yes! Byrne finishes it. 5-1. Beautifully done indeed. And finished off by the man who comes from Dublin every weekend to play, Byrne.
Well, with Valentine's Day tomorrow, it's nice to see so happy a Heart. Well, that's it for today. Next Sunday, the programme is at 4:15 when we'll be showing 3 fifth-round FA Cup games. But this week was about 2 Football League matches. Very well refereed too, but if I had to choose the man most satisfied with his day's work, perhaps it would be Colin Russell of 3rd Division Huddersfield, who showed some of his more illustrious colleagues the perfect way to head a goal. Power and direction leave the keeper helpless. Good afternoon.
Won by Sutton. Doyle. Oh, hasty by Allardyce. It's Lillis. Allardyce has come across. Oh, nice change of direction. Russell! What a beauty!